For centuries, scholars, skeptics, and believers alike have debated one of history's most intriguing questions. Did Jesus really exist? Some critics argue that Jesus was merely a mythological figure created by early Christians to reinforce their beliefs. They dismiss the New Testament as biased and unreliable, asserting that there is no credible evidence of Jesus outside of biblical texts. However, historical records tell a different story. Surprisingly, several ancient historians, including those with no ties to Christianity, documented the life and influence of Jesus. One of the most important sources in this discussion is the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, a prominent scholar from the 1st century. His writings provide a remarkable glimpse into Jesus's historical footprint and the world in which he lived. Before we examine what Josephus said about Jesus, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. You won't want to miss more insightful content where history and faith come together. Flavius Josephus was born in 37 CE in Jerusalem, just a few years after Jesus' crucifixion. He came from a well-respected priestly family and was extensively educated in Jewish law and Greek philosophy. His life took a dramatic turn during the Jewish-Roman War, 66 to 70 CE, where he initially fought against the Romans but later surrendered. Recognizing his intelligence and diplomatic skills, the Roman general Vespasian spared his life and later made him a historian under Roman patronage. Josephus's most famous works, The Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews, provide invaluable insights into Jewish history and the political landscape of the 1st century. Antiquities of the Jews, written around 93 CE, contains two significant references to Jesus that have fueled scholarly debate for centuries. Skeptics often claim that the references to Jesus in Josephus's writings were later forged by Christian scribes. It is true that some ancient texts have been modified over time, either to support theological viewpoints or to discredit opposing beliefs. However, careful scholarly analysis suggests that not all of Josephus's references to Jesus were fabricated. Instead, a core of authentic material remains, providing independent historical validation of Jesus' existence. One of the clearest and most widely accepted mentions of Jesus appears in Antiquities of the Jews, Book 20, Section 9. Josephus describes a legal proceeding led by the high priest Ananus. He assembled the Sanhedrin of judges and brought before them the brother of Jesus, called Christ, whose name was James, and some others. When he had accused them as breakers of the law, he delivered them to be stoned. This brief passage carries immense significance. First, it affirms that Jesus was a real historical figure. Josephus refers to him in a neutral, matter-of-fact way, identifying him as Jesus, called Christ. Second, it corroborates the New Testament's account that Jesus had a brother named James, who played a significant role in the early Christian movement. Lastly, the neutral tone of the passage suggests that it was not tampered with by later Christian scribes, as one would expect embellishments or praise if that were the case. Most scholars agree that this passage is authentic and provides crucial historical confirmation of Jesus' life. The second reference to Jesus, often called the Testimonium Flavianum, appears in Antiquities of the Jews, Book 18, Section 3. This passage is longer and more detailed, making it a focal point of scholarly debate. It reads, "Around this time lived Jesus, a wise man, if indeed it is right to call him a man. For he was a doer of amazing deeds and a teacher of people who accept the truth with pleasure. He won over both many Jews and many Greeks. He was the Messiah. Pilate, when he heard him accused by the leading men among us, condemned him to the cross. But those who had first loved him did not cease to do so. For on the third day he appeared to them alive again, as the divine prophets had foretold. To this day, the tribe of Christians named after him has not disappeared. At first glance, this passage seems to strongly endorse Jesus' divinity. However, most scholars agree that parts of it were likely added by later Christian scribes. Josephus, a devout Jew, would not have referred to Jesus as the Messiah or affirmed his resurrection. When we remove the suspected Christian interpolations, the likely original passage reads, "Around this time lived Jesus, a wise man. For he was a doer of amazing deeds and a teacher of people who accept the truth with pleasure. He won over both many Jews and many Greeks. Pilate, when he heard him accused by the leading men among us, condemned him to the cross. To this day, the tribe of Christians named after him has not disappeared." This reconstructed text aligns more closely with Josephus's usual style. It acknowledges Jesus as a historical figure, a respected teacher who attracted followers and was executed under Pontius Pilate. There is no overt religious bias, which strengthens the argument that Josephus genuinely wrote about Jesus, even if later edits were made. Some skeptics argue that if Jesus was truly significant, more contemporary historians should have documented his life. However, this overlooks the historical context. During Jesus' lifetime, he would have been seen as just another itinerant preacher in a small and remote province of the Roman Empire. Roman historians had little reason to take immediate notice of him. However, as Christianity grew, historians such as Tacitus and Suetonius began to acknowledge the movement in the late 1st and early 2nd centuries. Even after removing the likely Christian additions, Josephus's writings provide valuable independent evidence of Jesus' historical existence. His references confirm several key facts. Jesus lived in the 1st century and was known as a teacher and miracle worker. He had a following among both Jews and Gentiles. He was condemned to death by Pontius Pilate. His followers, known as Christians, continued to grow in number after his death. These points align with the New Testament accounts and challenge the claim that Jesus was merely a mythical invention. While Josephus did not believe in Jesus as the Messiah, his writings affirm that Jesus was influential enough to be remembered by a Jewish historian decades later. The testimony of Flavius Josephus is a crucial piece of evidence in understanding the historical Jesus. As a non-Christian source, Josephus provides an unbiased perspective that supports the core details of Jesus' life and impact. His works remind us that Jesus' influence extended beyond the pages of the Bible and into the broader world of the 1st century. If you found this exploration insightful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content that bridges history and faith. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.